living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE, and welcome back to the channel that travels back into the past and kills stupidity's parents. Thank you for joining me for yet another Flat Earth debate on this channel. I love the fact that there's so many of you there already waiting to watch this interesting discussion. Flatzoid did a couple of videos about me after my video towards Nathan Oakley, where he says that he debunked. We can go over those videos another time, but I invited him to come on the show and he accepted. Which is a great thing because there's a lot of flat earthers that won't leave echo chambers. But Flatzoid, thank you very much for joining.
Hello, good to be here.
Thank you. Right, so there's no particular format for tonight. Flatzoid and I were chatting in the comments about natural laws and whether the globe and the model breaks those laws. Basically, Flatzoid, over to you. Why don't you just take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, and then explain what the issues is that you have.
Okay. Well, I'm Flatzoid. I'm from South Africa. This is actually my first actual debate, you could say. Well, it's actually, as I said, your model is debunked. Well, is debunked because of natural law. And if you're going to say your model is reality, then you know it's really a revocation fallacy because you're saying your model is fact. And if your model is fact, then you're saying it's reality. So when it comes to natural law always trumps over, well, how can I say, religion? That's
okay.
About it.
So what natural laws is it that you think the globe violates? Let's try and avoid talking about reification fallacies and stuff and what is and isn't a model, and just try and focus on the natural laws that we've been talking about and what it is you think about the globe that violates them. You mentioned the first law of thermodynamics, and you mentioned a natural law of entropy. So what one do you want to talk about?
Well, you can choose any one. It doesn't matter.
Well, okay, let's start with the natural law of entropy. What is that law that you're talking about?
The second law of thermodynamics.
Okay, right, cool. That's easy. I did 18 months of thermodynamics in my degree, so I know quite a lot about thermodynamics. So, what is the second? Could you just tell me what your understanding of what the second law of thermodynamics is?
Well, the second law of thermodynamics, it's more, you can say it's more concerned with entropy. Which is produced by a process and is associated with the loss of ability to do work. The second law states that the entropy of the universe increases. So we do agree, entropy can't decrease. It's always going to increase.
I would. Right. Okay. Let's start with a very important thing about the second law of thermodynamics, and that is the type of system that it deals with. What kind of system is that?
Are you saying it's isolated systems?
Well, that is what the second law of thermodynamics is, isn't it? Because the second law of thermodynamics deals with entropic processes within an isolated system. So the isolated system that it's talking about is the universe, right?
Okay. So you're saying that we're in an isolated system?
I'm saying that the universe is an isolated system. And that is what the second law of thermodynamics refers to. And it is an absolute fact that the entropy of the isolated system, the universe, always increases.
Correct. And Earth, is it closed or open?
Earth is classed as a closed system in physics.
That's not true because you claim to have astronauts leaving Earth. So
a closed system in physics allows for the transfer of small parts of matter and energy. It's not completely isolated like an isolated system. It allows for some transfer of energy between systems, whereas obviously an open system and isolated system are the other ends of those. So when when we're talking about systems, the Earth is classed as a closed system, and the universe is the only isolated system that there is. And I will agree with you that the entropy of an isolated system will always increase. But that doesn't mean that you cannot have systems within that isolated system that, within their own isolated part, reverse the laws of entropy. For instance, what happens inside your fridge freezer? Well, from the perspective of inside the fridge freezer, the laws of entropy are being reversed. Of course, if you look at the larger system of that, the process of the fridge freezer doing that releases heat into the room that it's included in. So the entropy of the room that the fridge freezer in has increased, but the entropy within the fridge freezer itself has decreased. And that's what the second law of thermodynamics talks about. And as the Earth isn't an isolated system, it's not bound by the second law of thermodynamics that entropy can only increase, because it's not an isolated system.
Okay, can I give
sorry,
you,
over to you.
So are you trying to tell me then Earth is an isothermic system like a fridge? You know that's a constant.
I'm saying that Earth is a closed system and not an isolated system. It's a microsystem within the larger isolated system.
Do you know what the isothermic system is? You just explained it with the fridge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Earth
within
a constant temperature.
Earth has a constant energy input and output.
So PV on NRT is wrong now.
Well, that's an ideal gas law.
Everything. Yeah, but you're saying everything is constant. That's not true.
No, I'm not saying everything is constant. I'm saying that the energy of a closed system or an open system can reverse entropy within that particular system. And this is what I mean, okay? The second law of thermodynamics states that the entropy of an isolated system will always increase. It doesn't talk about a closed system. So when flat earthers in general say, well, the Earth violates the second law of thermodynamics because the atmosphere is next to space, that is a strongman, because we're not saying that it's violating any laws. That's what you guys are saying. We're saying that it's not an isolated system, so it's not bound by those strict definitions of the second law of thermodynamics. The isolated system is the universe.
You've heard about that quote from... Where is it?
You're going to say Bill Nye, right?
From Arthur Eddington. If your theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I give you no hope. There is nothing for it but to collapse in the deepest humiliation. You understand that, right?
Yep, and it's not against the second law of thermodynamics.
It is, because you just said that you are reversing entropy. Entropy can't reverse.
In an isolated system. The Earth isn't an isolated system. Yes, and you're correct. You're correct. And a closed system is not an isolated system. And the second law of thermodynamics, if you actually cite the actual second law of thermodynamics, it specifically mentions the entropy of an isolated system can only increase. It doesn't say that the entropy of a closed system can increase, because, well, like I said, inside of a fridge freezer, inside of a fridge, inside of a car with the AC on, you know, these are all entropy being reversed on a micro scale. But the actual macro scale, the entropy still increases, because energy is used or transferred from one form to another to create the microsystem where entropy is going the other way.
So you're saying Earth is an adiabatic system?
I'm saying Earth is a closed system, according to physics.
It can't be. Then where is this barrier?
A closed system doesn't require a barrier. That's not what a closed system is. A closed system simply deals with the transfer of energy.
All systems
you're kind of jumping around topics here. We're sticking with the second law of thermodynamics and what the second law of thermodynamics actually says. We can get to a barrier and stuff in a bit, right? I'm not arguing the barrier point right now, because that's a separate thing. I am simply stating that the second law of thermodynamics deals specifically with an isolated system, and the Earth is not classed as an isolated system.
Is a heat engine an isolated system?
No.
That's second law of thermodynamics. So how can you say it's just an isolated system?
Because that's actually what the second law of thermodynamics is. Could you cite to me the actual second law of thermodynamics? What the actual definition of the second law of thermodynamics is?
The second law of thermodynamics is concerned with entropy, which is produced by all processes and associated with the loss of ability to do work. The second law states that the entropy of the universe increases.
Yes, the entropy of the universe. The
universe.
universe is an isolated system. Now, that's a description more than a definition. The actual citation of the second law of thermodynamics is the second law of thermodynamics states that the entropy of an isolated system can never decrease over time and is constant if and only if all processes are reversible. Isolated systems spontaneously evolve towards thermodynamic equilibrium, the state with maximum entropy. The second law of thermodynamics is literally about the entropy of the entire universe. If you break it down to more, even higher than that, second law of thermodynamics is basically to deal with the transfer of information between one system and another. But it breaks down to dealing with an isolated system, and as you stated, the entropy of the universe can only increase. Absolutely, the entropy of the universe increases because the universe is an isolated system. Earth is not an isolated system.
But you just said Earth is closed.
That's not isolated.
In an isolated system, and like I
said,
said,
a closed system
works at heat engine. I mean, then you have to tell every mechanical engineer, sorry, second law of thermodynamics.
No. Flatzoid, I'm an engineer, and the second law of thermodynamics isn't violated. Isolated system, the only isolated system that there is the universe. It's as simple as that. That's what the second law of thermodynamics is dealing with. The second law of thermodynamics is as you said, it's the universe, right? It's not talking about a closed system or a microsystem within the isolated system, all right? The Earth is a microsystem that happens to be closed within the isolated system that is the universe. The universe's entropy increases. I'm not going to argue with you there. I 100% agree.
But it can't be closed if it's letting matter out. That goes against what the closed system is.
No, a closed system allows for a small transfer of matter and energy.
Can you show me a closed system that lets matter out?
The Earth.
No, show me a closed system that lets matter out.
A closed system that lets matter out is as simple as. Have you ever seen the bottle garden?
There.
Yeah. You ever seen? Yeah. A massive bottle that's got a self-contained garden within it. Have you ever seen those?
Like a terrarium.
Yeah. Right. Okay. A terrarium is a closed system because it receives energy, as in light, from outside, and it will expel energy in heat. There's a transfer of energy. Well, E equals mc squared. Energy is matter. And that's what the second law of thermodynamics says. If you're citing the second law of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics deals with an isolated system. And that's it. You can't say because an isolated system increases in entropy, therefore the Earth violates the second law of thermodynamics, because we don't say the Earth is an isolated system. That's a flat Earth straw man. You understand? That's something you guys are claiming, which isn't true.
Okay, so you're telling me that it doesn't apply on Earth. So what happens if I put a cup of tea on my table?
If you put a cup of tea on your table, the energy
a hot cup of tea, what happens?
The energy will dissipate.
There we go.
Well, yeah, okay, but what happens? What happens if you put that?
That's not a universe.
That doesn't mean that there isn't processes that will still increase with entropy. My kid's bedroom is an excellent example of entropy. No matter how many times me and my wife have to go in and tidy it and sort it out, within a few days, it's messy as shit again, right? That's entropy in action. But then we can go back in and tidy it, and we've just reversed entropy disorder within that room. Entropy is disorder, right?
It's disorder, but you're just violating second law of thermodynamics by saying You're
Well,
reversing
so
entropy. You can't reverse
are you
entropy.
saying that I'm violating the second law of thermodynamics by tidying my son's bedroom?
If you're saying you're reversing entropy, you're not reversing entropy.
Oh,
You're just tidying
you
the
are.
room.
Yeah, which is reversing entropy because you're now taking disorder towards order, which is the reverse of entropy.
How would you know that's supposed to be order in the first place? It's
Well,
your own unit of measure of order, you could say.
it's because it's ordered. Things are in a particular place. Things are stacked up. You know, it's tidy. There's space. Now, towards disorder is when all his clothes are over the room, his headphones lying on the floor, his shoes are chucked everywhere, there's crisp packets chucked. That's disorder. And then we go in, we tidy it up, we vacuum, you know, we make his bed, we tidy it, put his clothes away, and it's then order. We have within that local system reversed entropy. And it's the same as, but what you got to understand is that you've still increased entropy altogether because my wife and I doing that, we've exerted energy and created heat and friction and stuff. So there is an overall increase of entropy. But within that, within that particular microsystem, entropy has gone the other way. And it's the same with a fridge freezer or AC. It's reversing entropy within that local system. But the entropy of the universe, as you cited for the second law of thermodynamics, still increases.
So you would agree entropy is not conserved like energy?
Entropy is it's the arrow of time. It's just the you know how we know things go from one space to another. Yeah, it's a direction. So you can, in a local system, reverse entropy. But that doesn't violate the second law of thermodynamics because the entropy of the universe still increases overall. Does that make sense?
But you're saying it's only for isolated systems. Now, if you're claiming we live in a closed system and entropy still applies, that debunks your whole argument that it's only.
No, but a closed system isn't an isolated system.
I know, but you said it only applies for isolated systems.
Yeah, because like you said, it applies to the universe. But just because in some cases entropy still increases, that doesn't violate the second law of thermodynamics. That goes to the overall entropy of the universe increasing. I'm never going to disagree with you when you say that the second law of thermodynamics says that the entropy of the universe increases 100% all the time. You can't change that. But that doesn't mean that within local systems you can't reverse entropy. But that requires work and energy of some kind, which still goes towards the overall entropy of the universe increasing. That's what the second law of thermodynamics says. And if you look at the derivations of the actual second law of thermodynamics, you can calculate work required to make the reversible process, because the set part of the second law of thermodynamics states that it is constant if and only if the processes individually are reversible, which means that you can calculate the work and energy required for a particular process to be reversible, which still overall increases the entropy of the entire universe.
Okay, so you are saying then Earth is not closed because then it's still letting energy and everything out to the universe.
But again, a closed system allows for the transfer of energy and matter. That's part of the definition of a closed system is that there is a small amount that can be transferred. Right? An open system is completely open. There things can come in and go out with no problem. But a closed system is mostly things are kept within the system, but it allows for a transfer of energy in and out, i.e. sunlight coming in. That is energy coming into the system. So it's not, it's not completely isolated, but it's not an open system.
Can you do me a favor? Would you be able to bring up the definition of a closed system, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Oh, come on, keyboard. Right. Sorry, one sec. Trying to find my thing for the desktop capture. Do I not have it there? Yes. Right. Right, so a closed system can exchange energy with its surroundings through heat and work transfer. In other words, work and heat are the forms of energy that can be transferred across the boundary.
So not matter.
That's what a closed system is. It can exchange energy between itself and its surroundings. And this comes from let me get the actual where that is so you can find it yourself. It's the University of California. I can get you the link. That this is the one I tend to use when it talks about movement of energy and heat, that describes what a closed system is, and that it can exchange energy with its surroundings through heat and work. Obviously, work then creates heat, which is energy that can be transferred. And that's what a closed system is, and it isn't what the second law of thermodynamics talks about. I mean, it's more about the first law of thermodynamics actually when you're talking about closed systems.
Yeah, but that's what I said. There's no matter going out of a closed system or in.
Why can't I? Oh, sorry, I can't hear you right now. 2 secs. What have I done? Why can't I hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Sorry. My bad. I muted you for a sec. For the past maybe 15 seconds, I had you muted. My bad. What did you say?
That's fine.
Why can't I hear you still? Sorry, one sec. I've totally lost your audio. Muted.
Is it working now?
Cable. Why am I not getting your audio now? I'm sorry. Bear with me 1 sec. I don't know what's happened there. Should be going out to audio cable. Input, yeah. God, what have I done? Cable, let's go in there. I can see that your audio is coming through, so why can't I hear it?
Let's start trying to mute and mute myself.
Done something?
Okay,
I'm sorry, give me 1 sec while I try and figure out what I've done to cut your audio off in my production. I think that the guys listening can hear it, but for some reason I can't all of a sudden. Let me just add a new input. Maybe that'll help. Audio input. Can you guys in the chat hear him?
Can you guys
yeah, they can hear him. Why can't I? This is ridiculous. Say something for me.
Can you hear me now?
Oh my God.
1, 2, 3.
Honestly, I don't know why I am not getting audio from you in my headphones. What have I done? It's coming through. I should be hearing it. NDI still on? Yeah.
Hello.
Apologies, guys. Technical issues. Right, I've got everything plugged in. It was there, and then it just disappeared, and I don't know why. I should be getting it. It's coming through there. It's coming through there. The chat's hearing it. Why can't I? See, now I can't even hear that. I've lost all audio from vMix. That is the problem. What have I done? Have I pressed S on one of them? That did it before. Oh my God. This has never happened before, and I don't know why it's going on. What did I break? No. Okay, right, I see. This has turned itself down. Talk to me.
Hello.
There we go. Yeah, I've fixed it. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. It turned off my sound settings for some reason, and I've no idea why. Apologies, chat. It's not an FTFE stream if there's not some kind of technical issues. You know that. Right. So What were you?
Okay.
Did you have any responses to what I was saying about the second law?
Yes, that's what I was saying to you. So matter doesn't go in and out in the closed system, even
Well,
by the definition you read.
uh, heat and work transfer, and
Yeah, but not matter.
well, if we're talking about what science that we're following, E equals mc squared, energy is matter. If matter is transferring, if energy is matter is transferring, then energy is transferring. It's so when it talks about energy, it also means matter.
Okay, so then gas can leave as well. That's what you're saying, because gas doesn't matter.
Gas, yeah, gas can leave the earth. We lose a lot of gas each year. I mean, hundreds of millions of tons of gas leaves Earth's, Earth's atmosphere each year.
Leave the closed system.
Yeah.
You do know that's a contradiction of what a closed system is.
No, a closed matter is energy. It follows what we say completely.
So then your model is debunked by your own assertion now.
No, our model says that works fine.
You can't.
Our model is an accurate representation of reality, a predictive, accurate representation.
And it's violating the natural law of thermodynamics.
It's not,
as you just said.
Right, your audio is really roboty. Maybe just try turning off your camera again and see if that increases the bandwidth.
Okay. Is it better now?
We'll see how it goes. But no. It doesn't violate any natural laws. Like, not at all. Energy and matter are the same thing according to E equals mc squared. A closed system says that energy and work can transfer between the boundaries. That's all falls within what our model says. So there's no debunking our model with the things that our model says can happen.
You do know entropy, energy and mass is not the same thing.
Energy and matter are.
Yeah, but matter can't leave. Energy is not actually matter. Matter has conservation of energy, but matter is not energy.
Yeah, or E equals mc squared. It's, matter can be created from energy. That's what that equation says.
So you're stating your concept can overcome entropy, a natural law.
What concept are you talking about?
E equals mc squared is a concept.
That's not a concept. That's a mathematical description of transfer of energy, and it's not a concept. That's how we know how lots of things work. It's an experimentally it's an experimentally verified function of reality. We have experimentally verified that E equals mc squared.
So you have a hypothesis for this EMC squared?
There's plenty of. Okay, you're missing the entire point. It's a function. It's a description.
A function. Yes, a function. So it's concept. So
no,
like
it's not a concept.
You have a hypothesis for E equals mc squared because it is definitely a concept.
It's not a concept. I don't think you know what I mean. Again, this is a flat Earth straw man. You saying it's a concept doesn't make it a concept.
Then can you show me a scientific hypothesis that has validated results?
Yeah, general relativity has plenty of validated experimental results. Every experiment that is around general and special relativity ever has validated E equals mc squared.
Okay, and what is the phenomena observed?
Well, what do you want? We could talk about the Eddington Experiment of 1919. We can talk about the Pound-Rebecca experiment that shows gravitationally shifted photons leaving the surface of the Earth, as predicted by what we expect. This is nothing really to do with natural laws that you say are violated. Nothing has violated any natural laws.
Your concept has just violated natural law.
No, there's no. You saying it's a concept doesn't make it a concept.
You're saying it's a closed system. You're saying matter can leave this closed system. You are equating our Earth to an isothermic system, which is a constant temperature like a fridge, which is not true.
No,
And
I didn't
you
say
are
that. I said Earth is a closed
telling me you
system.
can reverse entropy.
Yeah, you tidy a
Which is
room,
not
that's
true.
reversing entropy.
So you
That's
can
literally
reverse
what
gas.
it is.
Let's tell you.
What do you mean you can reverse gas? That means nothing.
Now, the direction of gas. You telling me your concept of gravity can overcome entropy and let gas uniformly move down.
Who's talking about? Who said gravity here?
E equals mc squared is gravity.
E equals mc squared is gravity.
Space bending time.
Yeah, E equals mc squared isn't
General
gravity.
relativity is based. it's a concept.
I mean, you're the one that's brought up gravity here. You're the one that's brought up gravity. I haven't said gravity once. I don't need to use
E equals mc squared.
E equals mc squared deals with energy to matter. That's what E equals mc squared is.
Based on time bending space.
Based on time bending space. No, I don't think you know what space-time is either.
Yes.
You're jumping all around. Flatzoid, you're jumping all around the place here. Let's stick to the second law of thermodynamics.
I'm trying to hold you to task on what you're saying, and every time you're trying to obfuscate.
No, I haven't obfuscated once.
E equals mc squared is a general relativity concept of gravity.
No, it's not a general relativity concept of gravity.
Can you quickly go up and pull EMC squared on the internet and tell me if it shows if it's a concept of gravity or not?
E equals mc squared, an equation derived by Albert Einstein, in which E represents the units of energy, M represents mass, and C2 is the speed of light squared and multiplied by itself.
Exactly. Bending of space-time, which is gravity.
Can you tell me where it said there the bending of space-time?
Bending by speed of light. It's equal to the speed of light, as you said. That's
the speed of light isn't bending space-time.
If you got an x and a y axis, your
wait. No, hold on. No,
you
just said that the speed of light is bending space-time. Could you please explain that incredibly strange thing that you just said?
Okay, came out wrong actually, but yeah, it's just actually you're saying time is bending space. That's all you're saying.
No,
so
we're not.
Actually, yeah.
No. If you're talking about space-time bending, there's one thing that bends space-time, and that's matter. Matter tells space-time how to bend. Space-time tells matter how to move.
So EMC squared.
No, correct? They're not. They're not the same thing.
That's the equation you just gave.
No, that's not the equation I gave for the bending of space-time. You're the one saying that.
Then what's the equation for bending space-time?
There's no. Einstein's ten tensor equations can answer that. Do you know Einstein's tensor equations for for general relativity?
No, I don't really need to know that because I don't really.
Well, that's what deals with the bending of space-time is the 10 tensor equations, not E equals mc squared. Honestly, confused as to where you got that from. Again, it's a flat earth straw man because it's not anything we say is the case. So to clarify, there is no point where the Earth or the model that we help use to describe reality violates the second law of thermodynamics at all, because the Earth is not an isolated system. It's as simple as that.
Okay, can I give you a citation from space.com?
You can if you like.
Einstein's equation E equals mc squared shows that the energy and mass are interchangeable. The theory of special relativity explains how space and time are linked for objects that are moving at a constant speed at a straight line. That's gravity.
Yeah, that's not saying that E equals mc squared is that. E equals mc squared is an equivalence principle. It's not an explanation for the bending of space-time.
That is exactly what bending space-time is. E equals mc squared.
No, E equals mc squared is special relativity, but it's the equivalence principle.
Okay. then let's go back to whatever you would. Let's go to your
Right,
closed
so,
system then, because you're not going to get anywhere on gravity.
No, I
You
mean
can
you're the
still
one. You're the one that brought up gravity when we're talking about
No, you
Earth
did. At
and
the MC
what
squared.
Earth.
MC squared is gravity. I can't help it if you
No,
don't accept that.
I mean I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. So the Earth doesn't violate any natural laws at all. All right, it doesn't by any definition of what we explain. The second law of thermodynamics does not deal with a closed system. It deals with an isolated system. The Earth is not an isolated system. The entropy, what happens on Earth with entropy still causes the entropy of the entire universe to increase. It's as simple as that. All right. So the other thing to ask then is you were talking about the first law of thermodynamics. And you said that the Big Bang violates the first law of thermodynamics. I thought that was quite an interesting thing that you said. Could you please explain why you think that?
What energy did they create out of nothing?
Who said that the Big Bang created any energy? That's not what the Big Bang is.
It is.
No.
The Big Bang is, let's see where I have it here.
There was no creation of energy during the Big Bang. All the energy in the universe was already present when the Big Bang happened.
Well, where did that stuff come from? It's created itself.
It was already there.
Exactly. So it's already against the first law.
We don't know where it came from. It could have been there from a previous universe. We're not saying that, but the energy was there. Then the Big Bang happened. So the Big Bang hasn't violated any laws because the Big Bang didn't create any energy.
The first law of thermodynamics simply states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It's conservation of energy.
100% agree with you.
Yes. Thus, power generation processes and energy resources actually involve conservation of energy from one form to another, rather than the creation of energy from nothing. So where did that energy come from?
It was already there. We've no idea where it came from. But so, the Big Bang doesn't violate. The Big Bang doesn't violate any laws because the Big Bang didn't create any energy. The energy was there.
Exactly. How did it come to be? It had to be there to do something.
We've no idea. We're not making any claims about where that energy came from. We never have done.
Okay. Can you do a practical demonstration to show how? You can just put even one. Let's just put one something in a vacuum and see if it's going to do something.
Sorry?
Can you just do a demonstration to show us how something that's even just got its own energy is just going to expand into anything?
Oh, do you want me to show you some gas in a vacuum?
Exactly. Can you do that?
Yeah, sure. Give me 2 seconds. I'll grab the video.
But you're not. I know you can't get a perfect vacuum, but I'm saying if you have one, let's just say one particular of gas in a vacuum, can you show me actually expanding and doing something out of that one particulate?
What do you want me to show you? You want me to show you gas expanding? You want me to show you the Big Bang?
Create something out of the energy that one particulate has got.
It didn't create anything. The Big Bang was energy. Well, the Big Bang was an expansion of the energy that was there, sorry. It didn't create anything. All the energy was already there. No one is saying that it created anything.
And where was the process? Where was the process to let this energy get reduced?
Processed energy got released. What are you on about?
If you have, let's say, a rock in a field, you're telling me, with your logic, that rock in the field is just going to expand into 1,000 rocks because it was already there, that energy.
No one's saying that. Again, that's a lovely straw man that you're trying to build.
No, it's exactly what it is.
No, it's not at all.
You guys are saying,
no. You are saying something that we are not. That's a straw man.
Can I try and explain? You're saying there's absolutely nothing. There's just one particulate of energy, and all of a sudden this energy explodes and creates the universe.
No, there was no explosion. There was an expansion.
And does it take work to make an expansion?
But there was certainly pressure.
And where did the pressure come from?
The fact that all the energy in the universe was in a single point.
First law of violation.
No, there was no energy created, or destroyed, therefore no violation.
You just said.
I just said what?
Did
I say that there was energy created?
So the pressure was created by what?
Well, the fact that all of the energy in the universe was condensed into a single point.
The pressure was created by what?
Did I stutter?
While you're contradicting yourself.
How am I contradicting myself? No one is saying anything was created. That's you. That's you. No. It's you saying that there was something created out of nothing. That's not what we say that the Big Bang was. The Big Bang was simply the expansion of the energy that was there. All right? No one knows the exact process of why that happened, or what was there before, or why the energy was even put into, was in one single infinitesimally small point. No one knows these answers, and no one's saying that we do know these answers. All we know is that there is absolute empirical evidence that there was an expansion to the universe at some point.
Empirical evidence?
Yeah.
How did they validate that? No, and where's the scientific hypothesis for this? Because I still haven't got the scientific hypothesis for gravity.
The scientific hypothesis for the expansion of the universe.
Exactly. You said it's empirically validated.
Yeah,
for that you need
we can look at there is plenty of observations. There is plenty of observations. We can look into the past by looking at distant galaxies. We can measure the cosmic microwave background radiation and where it came from. We can experiment on the amount of radiation that is in certain points and make predictions based on that. So it's all been validated, and evidence that there was, at one point, everything was in a single point. All the evidence that we get from making observations shows that the universe is expanding. That's empirical evidence that the universe is expanding, because we can literally see it happening. So, again, there is no violation of the first law of thermodynamics, because no energy was created or destroyed. And no one ever says that there was energy created or destroyed.
Okay. Like I said, you said now, out of nothing, it's literally just pressure and energy that's in one thing, just all of a sudden by itself expanded into everything. That is a violation of what the first law is. But never mind
no, you can't say that it's a violation. You can't, stop. You can't say it's a violation when it isn't. There was no energy created or destroyed. Therefore, it did not violate the first law of thermodynamics. It's as simple as that, Flatzoid.
Then it should still be just that, no Big Bang. If it didn't create anything, it would still just be that single entity. No, the amount of energy... The amount of work to be able to do something.
The work was included in the energy that was at that point. All right, all of the energy that was at the beginning of the universe before the Big Bang is still there in the universe. That amount of energy has never changed. Therefore, there is no violation of the first law of thermodynamics.
You're missing the whole point. If
no,
you
I'm
say
not.
That's still there. I want to know what made it work to make it expand.
No one knows. No one's making the claim that we know.
You agree you have to have a force to make something happen. It's not going to happen out of itself.
Yeah. No. Again, Flatzoid, you're making complete strawmans. No one is saying that we know what caused the Big Bang. There's lots and lots of theories. Sorry.
Then how's it empirical if you don't?
Because we can see that the universe is expanding, and we can look back and see where it expanded from. That's empirical evidence that the universe... Sorry, are you saying observations aren't empirical?
If you can validate them with scientific experiment, then they're empirical. But if you're just saying
So
it's
are
empirical,
you
because I
saying
see
that observations on their own aren't empirical? I don't think you know what the word empirical means.
excuse me, empirical goes through the scientific method to make it empirical.
Could you define
Because
empirical
it's got
for me,
nothing to do with
please?
opinions. Okay, let me get the definition for you. Empirical, based on concerned with a verifiable observation or experience rather than a theory of pure logic. It's been
Exactly. So it's
provided by
been
considerable
verifiable.
empirical evidence to support their argument.
Exactly. And we have lots of
So
empirical evidence to support our argument. Empirical observations, as it says there, verifiable by observation or experience. We observe the universe is expanding. We observe that there is a cosmic microwave background radiation that we can see came with the expansion. The empirical observations are there. You denying them means very little.
No, I'm denying the empirical about the validity of them, because
Again,
did
that's
you
your
get the
problem.
empirical validity? I mean,
We looked at them. We used observations.
Can I talk? Can I finish talking?
Yeah.
You're looking at a star and you are claiming the star based on observation. That's not empirical. You're looking at
I'm sorry.
microwave radiation.
Based on concerned with or verifiable by observation or experience. So observing something empirically, that's exactly what it is.
Yes, and what's the next step after observation?
That's nothing to do with the word empirical.
What's the scientific method?
We're not talking about the scientific method. We're talking about the word empirical.
Oh, yes, we are. The scientific method is empirical.
No. You're the one that brought up the scientific method. We are talking about the word empirical. Please don't jump around topics.
The scientific method is empirical. You said it's scientifically validated. That would make it scientific. It went.
I said it's empirically observed. All right.
So I had to go through the scientific method.
I'm sorry, but does the word empirical have anything to do with the word scientific method? Or does empirical, as we've just both looked at, mean based on concerned with or verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic? No, you just cited something that backed up with me. It's empirical. There's empirical observations and everything.
So it's not scientific then.
But we can test the predictions that comes from it, and being able to test and predict is very much part of the scientific method. But you're the one that's making claims about, the first law being violated, and then now you jump into scientific method. So we're going to go back to the fact that the first law of thermodynamics has not been violated. All right, I need to ask you a quick question. Do you know what all the laws of thermodynamics are?
You want to know all of them?
No, do you know them all? How many are there?
Yeah. 3.
Sorry?
3.
No.
Or 4.
Yeah, 4. That's, a lot more than 3.
Yeah.
What are they?
Okay, what about them?
I'm just wondering, you're going on about the laws of thermodynamics so much. I'm just wondering if you know what all the laws are and how many there were, and you clearly didn't know how many there were. I'm just having to figure out how much I need to dumb this down for you, basically.
Is there actually 4? Is there actually 4? Because we actually just work with 3 all the time.
Really? Wow. So
what's the 4th law?
It's called the Zeroth Law of Thermodynamics.
That's a 3rd law.
No, that's the
Yes.
Zeroth Law.
In simple terms, the 3rd law states that entropy of a perfect crystal or a pure substance approaches 0 at the temperature of absolute 0.
Dude, there's 4 laws. There's the first, the second, the third, and the Zeroth Law of Thermodynamics. There's 4 of them.
Zeroth Law?
Yeah. Do you not even know
absolute 0?
What?
Absolute 0.
No, the Zeroth Law. My goodness. All right, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had to take it down this far. Wow. So you didn't even know that there was actually the Zeroth Law of Thermodynamics. That's incredible. Sorry, I'm just having to reassess the level at which I need to explain things. Wow. So
Sorry,
yeah,
there are only 3 laws of thermodynamics.
it's not.
It's all I'm getting here. Zeroth law is there, but it's not saying it's the 4th law. So I don't understand. Why would it say what are the 3 laws of thermodynamics? Can you explain it to me? No.
Seriously, if you Google how many laws of thermodynamics are there, what do you get?
3. 3. It shows 3. What are the 3 laws of thermodynamics?
Okay, so if
The
you
4th law of the... Okay, wait.
like
I
it
went
literally
further.
says
I went further.
that.
That's got to do with evolution of direction of steepest entropy axis.
Yeah,
That's
it's the Zeroth Law of Thermodynamics. They added the fourth one quite a while ago. I mean, if you when you're studying thermodynamics, you need to talk about the 4 laws of thermodynamics: the first law, the second law, the third law, and the Zeroth law. The Zeroth law
Well,
deals
I've
with
never...
thermal equilibrium. The Zeroth law states that if 2 thermodynamic systems are each in thermal equilibrium with a third one, then they are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Accordingly, a thermal equilibrium between systems is a transitive relation. I mean, it's a more recent law that was added than the original 3.
Okay.
I mean, 1935, I think, was the first time it appeared in a textbook. But I mean, when I studied thermodynamics for nearly 18 months, it was a very important part of.
While you studied it, I didn't study it, so...
Yeah, but that's quite.
That would explain, that would explain
clear.
why I
Yes.
didn't know the Zeroth law, which I concede to. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
it still doesn't mean your globe isn't violating the 1st and 2nd law.
No, it doesn't violate the 1st and 2nd law at all. We've gone through that. The globe certainly doesn't violate the 1st law.
Okay, can I recap what your problem was in the 2nd law? First of all, you said a closed system lets matter out, which is totally wrong. You said
E equals mc squared, the equivalence principle.
It's an isothermic system, which is not true.
No, you said that, not me.
You did. You said it's like a refrigerator.
No, I said similar to a fridge freezer. It's a local system,
which is isothermic. A refrigerator is isothermic.
But that doesn't mean I'm saying that the Earth is isothermic. I'm saying similar to a fridge freezer, the entropy of a local system can be reversed.
Similar. No.
What?
Nothing.
It's just they're different examples of entropy being reversed on a local system. That's literally what the second law of thermodynamics describes on a universal scale. And when you read actually into the second law of thermodynamics, you have to understand about local systems and entropy going the other way and how that is possible with work conversion. Again, I don't want to shit on the fact that you haven't studied thermodynamics, but if you had studied thermodynamics, you'd know all of this.
Even though I didn't study it, I've still been showing you all your contradictions all along.
I haven't made any contradictions. You not understanding something is not me making a contradiction.
A closed system cannot let matter in or out. That's
yes, it can let energy out. And no, wait. Let me answer the first one. Right, a closed system can absolutely have energy transfer in between its boundary, and according to the equivalence principle, E equals mc squared, energy and matter are interchangeable.
A closed system is a physical system that does not allow transfer of matter in or out of the system. Though in different contexts such as physics, chemistry, or engineering, the transfer of energy is or is not allowed. So, closed system, exchange of energy.
Yeah, energy and matter are interchangeable. It's the equivalence principle.
You're not letting matter out. If you're saying in a closed system, if you have a fish tank and it's closed, and you're not taking the lid off nothing, how are you going to get your fish in or out of that fish tank?
Energy transfer is allowed. Energy and matter are interchangeable.
That fish is matter. Are you going to let the fish in and out through a closed lid?
Right. Let me get you the citation that you need.
Everywhere where you see exchange of energy, exchange of matter, closed system does not let matter exchange. Only an open system.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the did have this saved where it talks about it.
Because you
I need
understand,
the
isolated systems only lets in. Closed systems only let matter in and energy in and out, and open systems let energy in and out, matter in and out. If you're claiming that matter can leave Earth and it's not closed, it has to be open. And if it's open, then entropy would increase. It's very simple.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the example that I need for you.
Okay.
I used to have all this saved, and I updated the computer and lost a bunch of stuff.
No, that's fine. Oh. Here we go. Open system equals exchange of mass and energy. Closed system, exchange of energy but not mass. Isolated system, no exchange of mass or energy.
Sorry. Right. All right. The Earth. This comes from Earth Online Media. The Earth system as a whole is a closed system. The boundary of the Earth system is the outer edge of the atmosphere. Virtually no mass is exchanged between the Earth system and the rest of the universe, except for the occasional meteorite. However, energy in the form of solar radiation passes from the sun through the atmosphere of the surface. The interface between systems is not always easy to identify. Does allow for the transfer of small amounts of matter, like the occasional meteorite. You can get the paper that this is all cited from as well. This website is just using this as to put the citation on. And then it goes on to explain the maths behind energy and matter transferring through a closed system. So as a whole, a closed system doesn't allow matter to be transferred, but it does allow for the transfer of small amounts of matter in the case of not exchanging massive amounts that disturb the amount of thermodynamic work that's being done is. If, say, a massive meteorite smashed into Earth and a whole bunch of the Earth's mass was ejected into space, it wouldn't be a closed system anymore. It would be an open system in that case, because so much matter has been transferred. But in general, a closed system allows for the transfer of a small amount of matter as well as energy. Again, earthonlinemedia.com, and I can get the paper that's all cited from.
So do you think a balloon is a closed system?
Balloon would be a closed system because there is a transfer of energy.
No, and matter. It's actually open.
Well, once the balloon...
Why do you think a balloon gets flat after time?
Well, yeah, okay, so let's assume that the balloon isn't letting out a bunch of gas, and it's a perfect balloon that isn't letting out gas. That would be a closed system because you could have energy in the form of heat and stuff. But a general latex balloon has enough permeability that gas does escape over time, and that would be classed as an open system.
Exactly. So how can you say Earth is closed then?
Because Earth is a closed.
What you said about the balloon. If you just say what you took about the balloon,
but that's not just a small amount of. But that's not just a small amount of matter leaving. That's like a large portion of that leaving. A closed system allows for a small amount of matter to be transferred between systems.
So, in your words, your guy's ISS is a small amount of matter.
Compared to the Earth, yes.
But that's still violating the closed system.
No, it's not. Closed systems allow for the transfer of small amounts of matter.
You just based your citation on a violation of nature, which is space, for a comet that comes from that violation of nature.
No, space. One thing at a time. You just said space is what? Space is a violation? Did you say that?
Nature.
How is space a
Yes.
violation of nature?
If it's classified as a vacuum, it's a violation of nature.
No one
Because
says that space is a
even in-
vacuum. It's a low pressure system.
Oh, really? Will you quickly go on Google and type space vacuum? Just quickly, just put there, space
Yeah,
vacuum.
there
You'll
is
see
no
what it
such
says.
thing as a perfect vacuum. Space is
Will
a
you just
low
quickly-
pressure system.
Will you just quickly type the space vacuum for me?
Type in
what
space
it says.
vacuum.
Yeah, see what it says. And then you tell me again how it says that space is not a vacuum.
Well, you do know there's no such thing as a perfect vacuum, right?
I know, because nature abhors a vacuum.
Yeah,
the whole
and
reason why space is debunked just by that.
so
one
if I
clause.
type in space vacuum, right, like you just asked me to, the
Yeah.
first thing I get is space is an almost perfect vacuum. So no, it's not a perfect vacuum. It's an extremely low pressure system.
What is the most vacuum we can get down here on Earth? The strongest vacuum.
NASA's vacuum chamber goes to 10 to the negative 7 torr, I believe.
Okay.
But hold on, we're jumping around here. You just claimed.
No. I'm trying to give you a point here. You're telling me that it's not a vacuum.
No one says
Look,
that space is a vacuum.
I just typed in space vacuum.
Let me show you what I got when I typed in space vacuum. All right, so I'm not, I'm not lying. All right, I typed in space vacuum, and what I got, space is an almost perfect vacuum. All right, that's it. Space is an almost perfect vacuum. It's not a complete vacuum. No one ever says that space is a 100% vacuum. It's an extremely low pressure system.
I know that, but you can't even get a vacuum even close to that on Earth. So
yeah, but space isn't in Earth, so it's
it's separate.
An almost perfect vacuum, not a perfect vacuum. There is no perfect vacuums. So it's as simple as that.
I know.
Near perfect vacuums can absolutely exist. I never
said there was.
Well, you said space violates something by being a vacuum, but it's not. It's a low pressure system. Space has stuff in it, therefore it's not a perfect vacuum.
But
I mean,
but is NASA's vacuum a vacuum?
It's an extremely low pressure system. They call it a vacuum chamber because they call it a vacuum chamber because it creates a low pressure system, but there is no such thing as a perfect vacuum. You do understand that, right?
Exactly. So then why is space 10 to the minus 17 tall and it can overcome entropy?
It doesn't overcome entropy.
Exactly, because there's no space that's 10 to the minus 17 tall.
Well, there absolutely is.
Have you been there?
I've had people send stuff to. I know for a fact that there is 2 torr, and that there is a pressure gradient that goes up. So we know that it goes. Yeah. There is a gradient that keeps going.
Yes, we know that. But is 2 torr very, very close to 10 to the minus 17, or is it humongous difference?
It's damn close.
Damn close. No.
Yeah.
I think you should.
10 to the 2 torr is very, very close to 10 to the negative 17 torr. If you compare it to the atmospheric pressure on Earth, the percentage difference between 2 torr and 10 to the negative 17 torr is tiny compared to the atmosphere on Earth. It's simple as that. Now,
if you're gonna you've seen the one like the balloons with even with what's his previous one with
Mr. Sensible,
his balloon out, Mr. Sensible.
Yeah.
You saw how it popped.
Yeah, 2 torr.
Entropy. Now you're telling me that pressure inside that balloon that pops inside that vast open space is now is very close to 10 to the minus 17 torr.
Yeah, it's like 10 to the 2 torr is a very close to a perfect vacuum. 10 to the negative 17 torr is even closer.
You do know it's supposed to be getting more and more in a vacuum because your universe is expanding every time.
What?
So the vacuum is supposed to get larger, so it's become more vacuum.
The vacuum is supposed to get larger. No, okay. You clearly don't know what space expanding means. I mean, literally, the space between atoms is also expanding. But
So if space between atoms is expanding, why is our gas pressure the same? Yeah.
the space between atoms expanding, like literally between the subatomic particles themselves, wouldn't affect the gas pressure because we're all still part of the expansion. But that's not what we're talking about here. That's an entirely different conversation.
So you think volume has nothing to do with pressure? Is that what you're telling me?
I never said that. So
Yes. No, come on. If you're expanding, if you've got a vacuum that's expanding, you're going to have more space for air. You're going to have more volume to be able to fill. So
yeah, no, that's not what space expanding means. It's
then what is space expanding?
Like the actual space-time itself is expanding, not just like the volume that space is contained in is expanding. Everything in the universe is also expanding. I mean, this is a very hard thing. This is some high-level physics that I'd have to explain to you. That, I mean, you don't know about the laws of thermodynamics, so it's very hard to then go on to how space-time is expanding. Now, would you like to speak to a PhD that could maybe explain some things better than me? I can bring on. He
doesn't matter.
Because he can explain the what you were saying about E equals mc squared and stuff a lot better than me. I've only got a bachelor's in physics. Okay, you don't really cover that much of special relativity and general relativity in a bachelor's degree. He's got a PhD. He's covered a lot more things than me. Would you mind if I brought him on to? No, I don't want him to debate you, but he can explain things maybe slightly better than me, and you can ask him questions as well.
Okay, you can put him in if you really want to.
It's only questions. Yeah, no, I'm only if you're happy. I don't want you to think that I'm like trying to gang up on you, which is why I'm saying, would you mind if I brought him on to maybe help explain things a little better? Because, like I said, I've only got a bachelor's. There's some things that I may get slightly wrong, and I'd like to be corrected. The laws of thermodynamics, I'm pretty damn good on. But if you bear with me,
we're all the same. We just want the truth. We just want to learn.
Yeah, I absolutely want the truth. Right, bear with me 1 second, and I will send him a link.
Awesome.
Tony, I'm about to send you a link. Don't worry about pestering me. I know that you get frustrated with this. Flatzoid, I want to say that I appreciate you being respectful in the conversation so far.
I'm enjoying it.
Thank you me much, too. No worries. When it goes properly, I enjoy the conversation. Obviously, there's certain people that kind of thing is impossible with. You're far more polite than Nathan Oakley could ever be to anybody. I don't know why Nathan Oakley wanted to put his balls in my mouth so much. That was slightly disturbing, if I'm honest. Right, okay, so PhD Tony is on the way. Now, I saw 10th Man in the chat talking about I lost because talking about matter being exchanged in a closed system, but I can actually slightly get the papers where NASA talks about the amount of matter that can be transferred between closed systems as well. I don't have those to hand, but 10th Man, I will absolutely be happy to get those details for you. Tony, you there? You're echoing back at me.
Oh, it's echoing.
Okay.
Hey, Tony, how are you doing?
Taking care of it. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you very much. I saw you shouting at me a bit for my explanation of E equals mc squared and stuff. No, that's fine, Tony.
Sorry.
You know that if I have said something slightly wrong, I like to be corrected. Flatzoid, this is PhD Tony. He's got a PhD in, is it geophysics, Tony, is that right?
Yes. Yeah, geophysics.
With a specialty on earth sciences and stuff. And he's a lot more knowledgeable on certain things than me. So, Tony, would you like to better explain what I was trying to say?
Okay, so the key thing that I would suggest is the use of the word effective. So we say that is effectively closed or effectively isolated when the exchanges across its boundaries are relatively small in comparison to the energy in the system. We say that space is an effective vacuum, even though it isn't a perfect vacuum. And generally, when scientists use simplifying terms when trying to explain stuff to the public, they don't necessarily, they can put a word in there, and another person says, well, that isn't an important word. The important word is vacuum. And so it turns into a Chinese whispers where it gets misunderstood along the way. So you're quite right when you say that space isn't a perfect vacuum. Craig is quite right in saying that Earth is an effectively closed system. You're quite right in saying that effectively closed system. My main frustration was actually over the discussion about entropy. Do you mind if I return to that topic and explain some elements about it?
I'm happy with that, Tony. Are you happy with that, Flatzoid?
Yeah, more than happy.
Okay, so the first thing we need, you've discussed what isolated systems and what reversible processes are, but you didn't spend a lot of time defining what entropy is. So if I asked you to mathematically quantify entropy, would you not do it?
Everybody knows I'm not the brilliant math whiz, but I can tell you it's just disorder. It's just an error. Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually a very simplistic view of what entropy is. There are two ways to define entropy, two ways to formally define entropy. Okay, one is that it's the number of it's proportional to the number of microstates consistent with a given microstate. Yeah, but the other way you can define it, and it's effectively the same, is that entropy is the amount of energy, amount of internal thermal energy a system has that is per unit temperature that is not available to do work. Okay?
Yeah.
So entropy is entropy, I want you to focus on the phrase, it's a measure of the amount of energy the mass does not have to do work. Okay?
Yeah.
So if I have a lot of gas in a cylinder, that gas is very highly ordered. It has a lot of energy. If I have gas in a balloon, it's less highly ordered, but it's still highly ordered and it still has energy. If I just have a open plastic bag, the air in that is not very ordered and it doesn't have a lot of energy. Okay, so we're moving from low entropy to high entropy states. And as we do it, we don't have that much energy available to do work. Now, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
but you do
all
know...
right. Sorry, go on.
No, you can go on.
No, go on. Okay. So, does it take energy to move things upwards?
Yes, because gas takes energy. It's conserving energy.
What? Okay. So as an object moves upwards, that requires energy. So as the gas moves upward, it is spending energy. It is losing energy. It is increasing in entropy, and it has less energy left. Right? So the higher the gas gets, the more spread out it gets, the less energy it has to do work. And so because there's still that downward force, whatever you decide that it's due to, there must be a downward force. Things accelerate downwards.
Sorry, they are disagreeing with you. Nothing accelerates downwards. Gas moves in all directions.
Okay. No, it doesn't. That is demonstrably false.
Yes, it does. Can you show me any demonstration of gas moving downwards?
Yes, I can show you.
Okay.
I can show you experiment in which they dropped individual gas molecules through electric fields. Gas molecules accelerate downwards in a vacuum. neutrons accelerate
Everything-
downwards in a vacuum.
Sorry.
Everything
please,
everything that has mass.
Sorry, are you saying neutron is gas now?
No, that's not what I said. I said
You just
everything.
said a neutron. You just said a
accelerates
neutron falls down in a vacuum. That's not gas.
Yes.
If you have a
Can I
vacuum, then you're not going to be able to have
yes,
gas.
I understand. I understand that I am moving from the specific case of gas to the more general case of everything.
But gas and everything else is not the same. Gas is totally
Yes,
different
I
from a
understand
solid
the
or a liquid.
distinction, but you will. Yes, but
Right,
you understand that gases are a part of what comprises everything.
So
Yeah, to an
if I could
extent.
just chime in there for 1 sec. So when gas expands initially, right? So if you've got, say, a balloon, Flatzoid, right? The gas within that balloon is going to have some kinetic energy, right? So the balloon pops.
Yeah.
The kinetic energy will send the gas in all directions. But what happens to the gas once that kinetic energy runs out?
Well, it first disperses into the available space. Now, if you've got more
Yes, but it
space,
can
there's
only
less
do.
place for it to bounce off of.
Can I?
But if you've got more
Can
available
I?
space, if you got more available space presented to it, it will have energy again as entropy increases.
No,
What?
it won't.
Yes.
So
You know how I can
so
demonstrate this?
no,
You know
you
how I can
can't.
demonstrate
Please listen to me.
You telling me I
Okay,
can't demonstrate something?
A gas. Well, what you're claiming is thermodynamically impossible from the conservation of energy.
Yeah.
Gas molecules have finite energy. Please listen to the explanation. Gas molecules have finite energy.
Like
There is
everything.
therefore a finite amount of work they can do. There is therefore a finite distance they can travel against a force.
Sorry, what force are you
Gas
talking about?
molecules cannot. I am talking about gravity, and if you want
Gravity
me
is
to
not a
demonstrate
force.
yes, it is. You see how
No, it's not.
bland
The-
George
declaration-
Noosa,
Yes,
gravity
it
is
is.
not a force. Brian Cox, gravity is not a
Okay.
force. Einstein, gravity
Yes,
is not
the
a
Earth
force.
is.
Can I go on?
The Earth is. Okay, show me a peer-reviewed scientific paper that says that gravitational forces do not exist.
Show me a peer-reviewed paper that shows gravity is not a concept.
All of them to do with gravity?
That's all
No,
of
you
them.
haven't got one.
I publish on
scientifically-
gravity. I publish on the Earth's gravity field. Every
Gravity
paper
field.
I
What's a
ever
gravity field?
I can cite the Pound-Rebecca experiment. That's a peer-reviewed thing that shows that gravity is not just a concept.
Why don't you look up the definition of gravity in Encyclopedia Britannica by Christine
It says
Sutton,
gravity is not a
former
force.
CERN. It says that gravity is the attractive force between masses.
And that's
So-
not a force. The key to understand Lebesgue's reasoning of gravitation, on paper at least, they showed that while E_mc squared always holds true for inertial mass, it doesn't always hold true for gravitational mass. According to Einstein,
So I want to ask you a
gravity and
question.
space itself, not a force. Can I go on?
Okay. The
Why don't you
difference
let me
is
talk? Why
nugatory.
you always want to interrupt me when I'm talking?
Because I know exactly what, and you're wrong.
You are wrong.
Yes, you
I'm
can.
telling you straight. You are reifying your own belief system to make it right.
No,
What you've been
you
saying.
don't even know
there's no reification. Right. If I
There's
could
no
just
reification.
Yeah, right. If I could just weigh in on on gravity for 1 second, okay? When we talk about the force of gravity, right, we're not saying specifically that gravity is a force. The force is a result of what gravity does. The force is an emergent property of the curvature of space-time. Space-time, matter tells space-time how to curve, and space-time tells matter how to move, which causes a force.
At that point, we're in a philosophical discussion.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical discussion because when Newton developed the universal law of gravitation, he used it to define gravity, and under that definition, Gravity is the force that applies between masses. Now, Einstein went out and worked out where that force comes from, but that doesn't change what gravity is. He explained what the gravity is, but that doesn't change that gravity is that force. Now, if you want to dispute that, that is a fine philosophical discussion, but it doesn't change the fact that two objects with mass experience a mutual force.
Okay, so you what was I going to say now? So now I forgot my totally train of thought. I was going to say something. So you can tell, is time a concept or is it actual?
That's a philosophical question.
No, is time actual or is it? I'm just asking a simple question. Is it actual or is it a concept, time?
Well, we can quantify time by
why can't it be both?
Yeah, but we can quantify time. We can quantify time by how quickly light travels a Planck's length.
So it's a concept then.
Why?
Because you're using it as
no. So is a book a concept or an object? Is there a concept of a book? You seem to be trying to hide in the...
We're talking about time now. We're talking about time.
Really?
Is time a concept or is it actual? That's all I want to know.
It's both.
It can't be both.
There is a concept of time. Yes, it can.
Right.
No, it can't. Can you prove to me time is actual?
Yes,
can you quickly go and touch it for me?
Can you touch a proton?
That
doesn't mean the proton's got to exist. You can't. How about you let me touch your brain? Does your brain exist if I can't touch it?
Is my brain a concept?
Have you touched it?
It is to me. It certainly has. It certainly has. It has.
Is it a concept or is it actual?
And I've given you. You are throwing a false dichotomy. False dichotomy. It does not have to be one or the other. They are not exclusive.
Yeah, and it's the same with gravity,
so
right?
Apple can be an orange.
Right.
So Apple can be an orange.
Flatzoid. Right. Let me try and. Right. The difference between Einsteinian and Newtonian gravity can be debated till the cows come home, right? But the fact is, one thing causes the other. Okay. Now, space-time bending, it causes a change in a geodesic, which is a line on a curved surface. Okay. Now, take this video, right? It's showing two people traveling from the equator and just walking completely north, right? For them, they are both following the lines of longitude completely north, okay? Now, for them, they're going completely forward. But because they are on a curved surface, the geodesics mean that they will meet. Yeah. Now, does that mean...
Yeah.
Right. Now, what we have here is two masses, the people, accelerating towards each other, okay? So you agree with that? They have... the masses, the people, have accelerated towards each other. Do we agree on that?
They walk at an angle towards each other. They're not accelerating to each other. There's a difference.
They've moved towards each other. There's an acceleration happening between the two of them.
Can you see that angle? Can you see the angle they're walking?
They're both traveling perfectly north. Sorry, Tony, one sec. They're both traveling in perfectly straight lines on a curved surface.
You can't travel in a straight line on a curved surface. It's either curved or it's straight. That's a contradiction.
A straight line on a curved surface is the shortest point between one and the other. Well, actually, that's a great circle. A straight line on a curved surface. You can still draw a straight line on a curved surface.
It would be a curved line on a curved surface. It won't be straight.
It's a straight line on a curved surface.
No, we don't live in a 2D world, so it would be curved because you would see a sphere as a 3D object.
It's called a geodesic arc, and I suggest you refrain from characterizing high-dimensional mathematics if you don't understand what it is.
You still have an.
I thought this was a very simple
concept.
There is yeah, he has answered that. He said there is the concept of time, but then there's also time that is a physical thing.
Time is not physical.
So you've rapidly run away, haven't you?
I'm not running away. I'm keeping you to
yes,
what you are.
Shut up!
It's time.
Shut up
Why are you
for
getting
5
triggered?
seconds and
Why are you
listen.
getting triggered? You can't answer.
Because you.
Is your
He's-
PhD
because
He's
you
trying
got a
to answer,
PhD, but you
Flatzoid.
can't answer a
Because
question for yes or
I
no.
know
That-
something,
guys,
and I
guys.
am trying to
No.
teach you something.
He is trying to explain
No.
Flatzoid, but it's you just
No,
keep
it's
denying.
not. He's saying
He
it's
is.
For
actual and
somebody
it's
who
not
admits
actual.
his own
It's
ignorance,
contradiction.
you do
Yeah.
not shut up long enough to learn.
That's the thing. You are the ones claiming that it can't be both, whereas again, that's a flat Earth straw man. You know, we can quantify time. That means that it's a real thing.
Okay,
But there is
correct. So you say time is actual.
I say that we can quantify time. We can measure it.
So quantification is actual.
If you can quantify something, if you can actually measure it, then it has to be something real.
Oh, so a unit of measure is real.
For instance, yeah, the measure of
A unit of
unicorns
measure
might
is
be
real.
real without the unicorns being real.
If I give you an equation about a unicorn,
Your
that's invisible,
intelligence,
and
for
it
instance,
shows, okay, unicorns
is, you know, I can
unicorns-
develop a quantification for your intelligence,
Can I finish?
even though it doesn't exist.
Can I finish talking? Can I
Right,
finish
yeah,
talking?
yeah.
I can
Tony,
give you
let him
an
finish.
equation for you.
Apparently not.
I can give you an equation for unicorns that are invisible.
Can you?
Does it prove that unicorns are invisible in real life? I'm just saying. That's just a example.
Can I see that equation?
Okay.
It's just an
Can you
example.
observationally
I'm saying,
verify
if
its
I give you an
accuracy?
equation, would
Yeah.
that mean it's actually variable? Does it mean it's reality?
Can we verify it?
No.
We can verify the quantification of time.
But based on maths, it works out. It's perfect.
Wait, no, hold on.
Yes,
Wait, hold on 1 sec. You can't say that mathematically it works out fine that there's unicorns without presenting the maths to back that up.
So,
Okay, u equals I divided by the square root of pi and u. Okay, there's your
you
equation.
need to verify.
Now,
Okay.
how do you prove
You
that's
need to
not?
verify it
How do you
against.
prove it's true or not?
You need to verify it. You need to verify it against observations.
Oh, there we go.
So-
Against
Yeah.
observations. You first do
absolutely.
observations, then you verify the observations. Not you first make your maths and then verify it based on observations afterwards. Observation comes first.
Yeah, you can
Yes.
observe something and then make predictions
Yes.
based on those observations, and then observe other things
So
to
how
see
does-
if those predictions
so how
come
are you
true.
observing time?
For instance,
How are you
right,
observing time?
you can observe time passing quite easily.
Okay, now that's a unit of measure. Now, how are you varying the independent variable of time?
Easy, move further away from the
I
surface of the
don't
Earth.
have to.
But
I don't actually
the
have
times-
to. So
But the time
no,
still carries on, even if
no,
you stop or doesn't.
no.
Does it
Be
not?
quiet. Be
The-
quiet.
the
You
passage
don't.
is different.
So we don't have to. We don't have to have control over the existence of something to know that it exists. Right?
That's science.
That's an idiotic argument. No, it isn't. And given that
But-
you aren't a
Scientific method.
scientist,
But-
no, it isn't. That's a lie.
However,
Oh,
it's
really?
also kind of irrelevant because you can actually
Yep.
manipulate the speed of the passage of time, and this has been done. In fact, if you've ever used GPS, that verifies what we are saying. GPS, they have to take calculations into account for time dilation of the satellites to actually make them work. So, yeah, it's been experimentally verified. More importantly, the whole thing about space-time and gravity and forces has all been experimentally verified using observations and predictions. It's undeniable. For instance, do you know how they discovered Neptune?
Go on.
So you don't know how they discovered Neptune, right? Okay, cool. So I like this
Because I already
story.
made prediction. You made predictions before they found out later on. I know about that, yes.
Right, yeah. So
But where was the observation first?
Right, well, that's where it comes. The observation was Uranus, right? Uranus, the planet. They could see that there was perturbations in the orbit of Uranus. It was doing things that, based on everything that we understood about gravity, that it shouldn't. Right? It was doing something weird. So they did some maths and they said, right, well, if there is another massive body in this position, that will explain the perturbations in this orbit. It will explain it. So using all the known laws of physics and gravitational that we had, they did some calculations and said, right, so if we look at this position in the sky at this time, we should see another planet. They looked at that position in the sky. Lo and behold, they found a planet based on observations of Uranus. I mean, you don't get more empirical than that.
So mathematical deductions is now scientific validations.
No, they validated it by then looking at the place and finding it. It was actually there, where the mathematical predictions said that it should be.
So can I come up with another example? There is another example where we use measurements of gravity to determine the location of density anomalies below Earth's surface that allow us to dig for minerals. And this allows us to very effectively identify dense or more dense or less dense mineral deposits that might have monetary value. Now, if the Newtonian theory that mass attracts mass were wrong, then these calculations would be wrong, but they are systematically correct. Similarly, the US military uses what are called gravimetric gradiometers to measure the gradient of the gravity field as a submarine is moving along, and the submarine can use the gravity signature of underwater obstructions to determine if it is passing over, beside, or straight towards an obstruction that they would otherwise be unaware of. And they use this technology to avoid collisions with underwater mountains that have not been adequately mapped. So now, if you're claiming, not echolocation. I suggest you listen to me when I talk. Gravimetric gradiometry. The reason they don't use echolocation is because when you send out a sonar ping, every surface vessel and other submarine in the area can instantly determine where you are. So submarines generally rely on maintaining secrecy about their location, so they don't want to be echolocating all the time. So in order to safely navigate on the seafloor, which is not always well mapped, they developed this technique of gravimetric gradiometry. And the fact that I started talking about gravity gradients and you instantly went to sonar suggests that you don't understand a thing you're talking about and you're just not listening to what I'm saying.
I was trying to say, you can show me this gravity gradient that you haven't already proven gravity in the first place, that is based on a concept, and you still haven't answered in the first place. Is time a concept or not? Because you guys are, it doesn't matter. You keep on obfuscating from time. I am on time. I didn't go to gravity. I want to know, is time a concept?
Yes, you did.
We've already answered that.
You picked the fight on gravity.
Both Tony and I
started talking about entropy. You started complaining about gravity, and now you're on to time. You won't stay on one topic for more than 5 seconds.
Gravity. You said gravity overcomes entropy.
No, I didn't. I said that a downward force overcomes entropy. Then
there we go. Gravity overcomes entropy. Well done. No, thank you. So we can
didn't say that.
You're making a straw man.
If theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I can give you no hope.
It doesn't violate the second law of thermodynamics, that like we keep saying. But right, Tony, one sec.
You just said gravity overcomes entropy.
It can do on a local scale. Things can overcome entropy, but the entropy of the universe still increases.
Nothing can overcome entropy.
On a local scale, it absolutely can. But right, let me answer this question about time. Let me answer this question about time, because he keeps asking us this. We have answered you. There is the concept of time, which is when people talk about time, philosophically. But time is also a quantifiable, measurable, testable thing. We have tested that time can travel different speeds based on different gravitational accelerations. This has been verified experimentally, which means that time must be something that we can actually experiment on. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't the concept of time. Both can exist simultaneously. Does that answer your question?
No, because it's either concept or it's not. You can't have it.
No, it's not.
No,
you can't. You
remember,
can't just say that. You can't
also
just say that.
Maths is not reality.
That's
Correct?
an idiotic.
That's an
idiotic assertion.
PhD, I'm
That's
talking
different
to Craig,
from saying-
please. Craig?
Yes,
Craig?
and I'm
So
talking to you.
Is maths reality or not? Is maths reality? Or is it just a description?
Maths is a language.
Exactly. So you're basing your evidence that time is actual because of maths, which is just language.
No.
So
I'm basing it on the fact that we can experimentally verify that time travels at different speeds at different altitudes.
And that's just
and you use maths to write that down because maths is the language of science. Also, maths is the only.
Reality.
I didn't say that. I said it's the language of science. Where did I say once that maths is reality? If you just got a script that
I'm saying you're saying maths is not reality. So how can you quantify it to say because of maths I can now say it's evidence for it?
Because maths is a unit.
May I say
exactly.
something?
So it's a concept. So you're using another concept to try and
maths isn't the concept.
Your concept.
Yeah, right. Tony?
Okay. Maths is not reality, but reality can be described by mathematics. Okay? Do you accept that statement? Yes,
I do.
Okay. So, in which case we can use mathematics to make predictions about reality, based on the theory that we have to understand what is causing particular processes. Do you agree that objects denser than air fall near Earth's surface?
They fall anywhere. It's relative density.
This is demonstrably not true.
Okay,
so you're suggesting. So let me just address this. You're saying that objects fall because of relative density. So they fall because of the relative density of the object and the material around the object, right?
Correct.
Okay. So if I put an object and the medium inside a container, right, a hermetically sealed container that has a Faraday cage around it, and I move that up, the acceleration should be the same, shouldn't it? Because I haven't changed the medium, and I haven't changed the medium, and I haven't changed the object inside that vessel. So if it's just the relative density of the object in the vessel and the medium in the vessel, then the acceleration should be the same, should it not?
No, it's the same as if you're in a car. When you accelerate forward, the gas moves to the back because you are accelerating forward.
Yes, but if I lift the object up and then maintain it stationary, if I lift the object up and then maintain it at rest, it is not undergoing an acceleration, or it's not undergoing a very large acceleration at that point. So you cannot use an inertial argument to explain the discrepancy.
Sorry, are you saying gas sits at rest? Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me gas is static?
No, please answer the question. Please answer the question that I just posed to you.
It's moving.
No, you didn't.
I did. I asked you.
No,
it's exactly
no, it isn't. So what you're saying is that if I have an object in a sealed container at rest at the surface, the value of acceleration that I get will be random. It will change because the medium inside the container is constantly moving. There will be no systematic difference between the reading I get there and the reading if I move it 1,000 meters higher, or if I move it to the bottom of or if I move it down to the bottom of the seabed in a submarine, which is a pressurized environment. There's no change in the medium or the object in any of these motions. They are at rest at their locations every time. Okay? And what you're saying is that they should. No. Don't tell me what I'm trying to do. Answer the
You're
question.
trying to talk about gravimeters. You want to say, oh, look,
Yes,
I got
I
it in a
am.
vacuum. It changes there to there. Have you ever thought that maybe it's other variables that are changing?
Yes.
Not just,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
okay. So how can you prove it's
Yes,
gravity
we
then?
shield them. We shield it from electromagnetic forces. We use it to locate masses. If it is not caused by mass, why does it persistently and accurately locate masses?
Because
And
it's just falling and it works out with your maths.
what I'm showing on
Works out your maths.
what I'm showing
You're
on
saying
screen now.
Your maths is reality
Flatzoid.
again.
What I'm showing on screen now is the device that Tony is, a simplified version of the device Tony is talking about, right? There's a mass
Yeah, the gravimeter.
that sits at equilibrium, okay? And if there is another mass underneath it, it creates an acceleration on the spring, and you can see how much the spring is stretched, and you can use that to measure the extra force that is being created by the mass. So how does this work based on the fact that there's mass there if mass doesn't attract mass?
There are
other.
Oh shit. So Team Skeptic joined, but only he quickly wanted to talk one thing about the time. Team, do you want to quickly explain what you were saying?
Yeah, Flatzoid, this is this is directed to you for just 1 second. So like you say time doesn't exist, right? And that I can agree with you to a certain extent, only to the point if you'll agree that if time doesn't exist, then distance doesn't exist.
It's just a unit of measure. Distance as well. It's just a unit of measure. But the thing you are measuring
Time out. How?
True.
Hold on. No, I'm sorry. You cannot say that, okay? Because define what a meter is, please. Not by length. Just tell me if someone said, what's a meter? No. But if someone said, what's a meter? How would you describe a meter? You would say there's a start point and 1 point away is the distance of 1 meter, correct?
Correct, but that distance is based on actual tangible something.
Can you measure? Hold on. You're absolutely right. Okay, that distance is based on something you can touch. But to measure that, you must make a measurement at 1 point in time, and then you must take a separate measurement at a temporal distance away. No matter what that temporal distance is, you're still going to need. You can't take the measurement at both ends. You must take the measurement at one end, and then it must be followed by the measurement at the other end. Remember, you're saying that you can only use what you can touch with your finger to determine if something's real or not. So for you to determine that a meter is real, you must touch it at one point, then touch it at the other point and define that as a meter. That's distance. You cannot do that you cannot do that and maintain a zero temporal distance as well. You must use 2 different points in time to make that measurement. So for you to say that a meter exists when you can't put your finger on a meter, you can only put your finger on a start point, and then you can put your finger on an end point and say the distance, the spatial distance between these 2 points where I put my finger is a meter. Well, guess what? If you were to say that you took 1 second to do that, then the spatial distance that it has occurred is 1 second. So therefore, a meter, if you're telling me that distances do not exist, then that's consistent with you saying that time does not exist. If you say that a distance does exist because you can measure out a meter and you know what a meter is, then you must accept also that time exists because you can't make that measurement with one temporal instance. There must be some temporal distance for you to make that measurement to define what the meter is. Therefore, time exists.
Sorry, I disagree with you there. You can always stop a distance of measurement, correct? Time, can you stop time?
Excuse me?
You can't stop time. Time is still going to carry on whether you try to stop your clock or whatever, it's still going to carry on.
How can you make a measurement without time occurring?
Any time you want, it's still going to be measured. Distance you can actually touch.
How can you make a measurement? No, that's wrong. How can you make a measurement? You yourself make a measurement from one end of the stick to the other end of the stick without some kind of measure of time moving forward.
Time is always moving. Time is a constant. It's a concept. You don't.
If it's always moving, how is it a concept?
Anyway.
So I want to ask
so
a
is the
question.
meter.
The meter is a unit.
Why should anybody care that you don't agree
Distance is
with
a standard unit. Time is just a calculation.
Excuse
No,
me, are
it
you
isn't.
saying there's no standard units of time? Is that what you just said?
That's a concept. I'm saying. Your
Are
distance
you
is
saying
based
there's
on
no
actual
standard units of
tangible.
time? You
Yes,
just said that. No,
yes,
you
it's
said no.
standard.
Time is tangible. Okay,
Distance
time
is
is
standard
tangible.
unit.
Absolutely, we
Time
can
is
take a
tangible.
cesium
Time is
atom.
tangible.
Hold on,
You sure?
no,
So you can
hold on.
stop
Just
time.
it's just as tangible. It's just as tangible as distance. Okay, we can take a
No, it's
cesium
not.
atom that
You
has
can climb
a.
in a
Yes, it
car
is. We
and
can
you
have a
can drive a
cesium.
kilometer and you
Are
know
you
you've
kidding
driven
me?
a kilometer.
Can you define what a second is? Can you please define what a second is? Just define it in your best terminology.
Second.
Because I know what a second is.
Second. That's a second.
No, what is how what is the how is the second defined? No, how is a second defined? How is a second defined?
As a concept of the unit measure.
Oh my God!
Concept of unit.
That
This
is-
is why
that is-
why
that
talking
is
to people like you
meaningless.
is absolutely fucking yeah. It's ridiculous to even consider that you have any kind of intellectual talents whatsoever.
If you climb in a car and you say, okay, I'm going to drive a distance of a kilometer, you drive in that distance of a kilometer. You've literally
Everything
traveled
you
that
say
kilometer.
involves
That's a
time.
measurement.
Everything
Time
you say,
doesn't
listen,
matter if you're gonna
everything you
stop,
say
you're gonna go,
involves.
you're gonna go in reverse,
Shut
it's
up and
gonna
listen,
carry on exactly
Flatzoid.
the same, because it's just a
Flatzoid, shut up
unit
and listen
of
for a
measure.
second. Everything you just said requires temporal distance, not just spatial distance, but temporal distance. You just said when you climb into a car, define how to climb into a car. How can you climb into a car without spatial temporal space? How can you climb into a car without temporal distance?
You walking to a car, you're getting in. Your distance, you're actually walking on
How do you
tangible
walk?
distance.
How do you
Yeah,
walk
you've
without
done that.
a temporal distance?
Yeah.
How do you do anything without a temporal distance?
From you starting the walk to you
Distance is a
ending the
real
walk
thing.
are hold on, Flatzoid. From you starting the walk to you ending the walk are at two different points in time. You have travelled a temporal distance. Everything you do, you travel a temporal distance. And that's Team's point. If you are to measure something, to be able to measure something, you have to also travel a temporal distance. Because you can't stop time and make that measurement.
Oh, wait.
Can
okay,
I
so
ask
can
a
take
question?
ruler and I'm measuring my
How
paper
many-
here. Now you're telling me time has something to do with me measuring a ruler.
Yes,
How
you
many-
just took
how
time to
many
do that.
hertz-
No. Okay,
How
but
many
now you're saying
hertz
I can
is-
change it because I'm going to take longer to measure
How-
it now and I'm going to take shorter to measure it.
How
Where is time?
how many
Time will carry on no matter
how
what
many
you do because
hertz
it's
is
just a
your
constant.
computer screen? How many hertz is your computer screen?
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's based on the definition of time. So if time doesn't exist, how does your computer work?
It's a concept of unit of measure. If
Well,
like
it
I said,
clearly
can you stop
works
time?
because
Can you
your
stop
computer
time?
works.
Yeah, Tony,
Are
can you
you-
stop time?
No,
And
and that's
you
the
know,
point.
How can you measure? How can you measure the frequency
can
of your monitor without
with
time?
the-
No.
with
How can
distance-
tell me this? How can
distance,
you
I can
measure?
go
Shut up and
back and
listen.
measure
How
again.
can you measure the frequency of your monitor without a temporal distance, without time? How can you measure the frequency of your monitor, the refresh rate? How can you do that? The simple answer,
the
Flatzoid,
fact
is
that
you can't.
electricity
You
works.
can't.
Guys obfuscating
The
from
fact
different-
that
like,
electricity
different-
works shows that you are full
you
of
cannot
nonsense.
change time. Time will
No,
stay the
no
same
one's
because
saying
I
that you are
don't
changing
care.
time. Right, hold on. I think Flatzoid,
Yes,
he's
sir.
getting very confused with what we're actually saying.
Hey.
Flatzoid, we're not... Yes, team.
Guys, I love you guys. I have to go feed my son, so I just wanted to come in. Flatzoid, I'm sorry if I got a bit loud there. It's how I do things, man. You're
No,
welcome
don't
to
worry,
come onto
dude.
my channel or Fight's channel at any time and have the conversation. But
Yeah,
I'd love to,
I'd
to
happily
explain more
have
to
him
you
back.
how. Yeah, I'd love to explain
just
to
do-
you how how I understand the concept of time and what time really is to me. So yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Y'all
All
have a
right.
great
Yeah,
day.
good luck
Cheers,
with
team.
that.
Awesome. Cheers, dude.
So
Right.
Flatzoid,
Actually,
right, so all of the measurements that you're making, you're saying, right, I measured it and I've just measured it again. But for each one of those measurements, you had a start point and an end point in time, didn't you?
Yeah, but we're not measuring time. We're measuring distance.
No. I'm not saying you're measuring time,
Yeah.
but I'm saying to make
Yes,
that
you just said
measurement.
I'm using.
No, hold on.
Yes.
Let me finish one point. I'm saying that
It's
to
only-
make that measurement, you had to also travel in temporal space. You have traveled a temporal distance
Obviously-
to make that measurement.
Can I?
Obviously,
I
the
have
concept of
I
time
have a
is
question.
Go on,
I
Tony.
have a question. Can you end space